What up, world? Welcome to episode 112 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful and comfortable confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. This episode, guys, is going to be still talking about the NBA playoffs and the round one games and review and series reviews up to this point. I kind of chronologized over the weekend all the games, the Western Conference and Eastern Conference games. And kind of touching up on a series and review. We'll be touching on those series that are still going on. Obviously, the devastating injury to Damian Lillard that's put him out of the season while the Bucks season is on the brink of elimination. We're going to touch on Ja Morant's injury and the fallout from the Grizzlies being swept by the Thunder and what the future may hold for the Grizzlies, and so much more. And also Knicks Pistons series and the controversial call at the ending. So many things to touch into. So we're going to definitely dive into this. I've been waiting to do this episode for a couple of days. So I apologize for the delay. But before we get into this, guys, I want to make sure we give a shout out to one of the major friends of the show, and that'd be PlayStation Direct. If you're looking to get a PlayStation 5 or if you're looking to get one of the bundle packages that are out there right now, definitely check out the link within the description box of this video. PlayStation, more than a game. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to take your spouse out, have a great time with some friends, then look no further than the #1 leading ticket seller and reseller in the world, StubHub. #1 seller in the world for live events, tickets, shows, and concerts, StubHub. As we're going into this NBA playoffs, when I did the game one, round one recaps, I kind of had an indication of how I thought some of these series may go. I kind of thought that maybe some of these series will go the distance. I kind of thought some of these series would be over quick. The ones that I thought would be over quick were, I'm definitely surprised at some of the series. I'll touch on that, which ones I think have been surprising to me. And I've been perplexed at some of the, let's say, officiating in some of the calls in some of the games and series that I've come across. We're going to start with the one that surprised me the most. Lakers versus Timberwolves series. First of all, Lakers being the higher seed, coming into this series, I naturally thought, what the fuck? You're talking about LeBron James and Luka Doncic. They starting to gel. High level of basketball, both of them play. This is a no-brainer. Easily, LeBron and Luka are going to put it together. They could potentially make a run. As I told you guys in a previous video, going into the NBA playoffs, I thought that the Lakers would potentially be a dark horse. At this point, I look abjectly fucking stupid and wrong because the Los Angeles Lakers are now down 3-1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and this series, and I don't want to use hyperbole when I say this, but I want to stress emphasis. The Lakers are truly in trouble. And it's not because the Timberwolves are necessarily a better team than the Lakers. I think the Lakers are a better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves. The problem, though, that I think is coming down to this series is coaching. Now, I've listened all day and heard people eviscerate JJ Redick about he's not really that good of a coach and he's made so many blunders and so many mistakes. I think people got to really hold blame and, hold assessment into atonement to the proper categories. Yes, JJ Redick definitely has got to be held to atonement. But I think people kind of forget, too, that, this is his first coaching job. This is his first year in the NBA. This is his first year as an NBA coach in the NBA postseason. He's going against Chris Finch, who's been here before, whose team was just in the Western Conference Finals last year, whose team's been contending now for the past couple years. The Lakers aren't really a great team. They are LeBron and Luka, more or less, centric, and they feed off of whatever energy that is. The bench is too inconsistent, so that becomes a problem. But, you got a game where you got LeBron going off. He's attacking. Luka's putting on a clinic. He's got, last game, he's got 38, 2 assists, 5 of 12 from 3. But what have I been saying about Minnesota this whole series, guys? What did I say to you in the previous video? If Naz Reid and Jay McDaniels show up 2 out of 3 games in this series, it's over. What do we see again? Naz Reid, 12 points, 2 for 4 from three-point range. Jay McDaniels, 16 points, 2 or 3 from three-point range. The games where they're inconsistent, they lose. The games where they're consistent, they more than likely win. It's a very even scenario to understand. Julius Randle, I mean, he was putting in work. I mean, they couldn't even stop him. They've been struggling with him this series. Last game, he had 25, 7 rebounds, and was 3 of 8 from three-point range. The key to this whole series has always been Anthony Edwards. The reason that Luka got the best of Anthony Edwards last year is because, Ant, and I always felt like this, Ant hadn't been in that position. He carried his team. He got them to that point. They just really weren't ready, prepared, good enough, whatever adjective you want to use. They weren't ready for the moment. He, I feel, is ascending this year. His play on the court, struggled early on in the year, started putting it together. Whole not wanting to be the face of the league thing. He stated that. But, I mean, this dude, last game, game 4, 43 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 of 10 from 3. If he's playing like that, the Lakers have no chance in hell whatsoever of winning this series. And I think they honestly, after that game, they blew the series. I don't think even if they win this next coming game, I don't think that there's a way that they come back. I just really feel like it's over for the Lakers. Shocking because with the way the trade happened, you kind of had a lot of hope how things would play out. But, a lot remains to be seen. It's not like it's over yet. But in my personal opinion, I think the Timberwolves are going to win this in 6. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thanks. Going a bit further. Second, my second most favorite series of this first round, New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons. This series has been like a nod to the throwback. If anybody has paid attention or watched or followed or knew 90s basketball, watching this was just beautiful. It has been a physical series. The series has come down to toughness, tenacity, physical play. The reality of the situation, though, and it's always been this way. In situations like this, the veteran team usually wins. However, I would contest that in Game 4, the Pistons did everything they were supposed to win the game. When you have a bad call late that doesn't go your way, you already are pissed off and feel some type of way. When you have a bad call go against you at the end of the game that costs you a game, potentially a series, and then the referees admit after the game they got it wrong, as you'll see here on the screen, it's not great. It's not great in any way, shape, or form. So it's just one of those things where I feel bad for the Pistons in the relative aspect of that game. This series, like I said, has just been a nod to the throwback. As far as JB Bickerstaff, to play a little bit more devil's advocate, I think, especially after the things that he has transgressed and griped about this year as far as the officiating, I do believe that there needs to be a full-fledged investigation into the way the Pistons games have been officiated. Now, I know that there used to be an old adage of your superstars got to go through some shit before they get calls. Certain teams got to go through some shit before they get calls. We don't have time for that bullshit. Call the right call. Let's fucking get it right. Blew a great game. That was potentially, blew what wound up being a great game because of a controversial call that shouldn't have went the Knicks' way. Sucked. But the key things for the Knicks in this series that have been working that I think that is going against the Detroit Pistons mightily, Karl-Anthony Towns, number one. He's continued his hot shooting streak. He's 2 games now. He's been killing them from three-point range. This past game, Game 4, he had 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 of 7 from three-point range. Elite. Also, Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson's been elite too. He's quiet assassin. Grizzled style of play. But, he even had in Game 4, 32 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds. Making tough shots, getting the ball late, making the decisions, making the necessary reads. The Knicks are just a more veteran team. It sucks that the Pistons are in this situation. They're definitely, like I said, if I were them, I would definitely have an investigation done into a lot of the way that their games were officiated throughout the year. I think there may be a case that JB Bickerstaff has there. But they're not winning this series. Even if they win the next game, I give them credit for how they played, but experience is going to wind up winning out in this situation. And that's typically how it happens in most cases. And let's just be honest. They don't really have a big man to contend with Karl Anthony Towns. Game 3, he goes off for 31 points, 8 rebounds. He was 4 of 8 from 3-point range. As I said, still killing him from 3. So, and it's not like the Pistons are playing bad team basketball or they're being selfish. Or it's just when you're playing a better team, these things show up. These things pop up. And sometimes are unavoidable. Going to the Nuggets and the Clippers. This series has been entertaining as all hell as well. Clippers and the Nuggets. A lot of people are going to give this series to the Nuggets. Clippers, currently, as it stands, are playing, some of their best basketball I think that they've played in years. Definitely Kawhi Leonard, definitely James Harden. Damn sure for a fact James Harden. But this team, the Clippers have just looked like the better team in this series. To me, they seem like that they've just wanted it more. Maybe it's depth. Because I definitely think Jokic is better than, he's better than the Clippers' best player, which would be Kawhi. He definitely is. But that being said, though, it just seems like the Clippers have the fight, the tenacity, and the go-getterness to attack and just, give the Nuggets that threat or that fear that they haven't had in a long time. But in that game Saturday night, it's becoming very clear to me that the Nuggets, they have championship poise. They won the game 101-99. They showed they had championship poise. They showed that they were definitely, capable. Thrilling game, thrilling series. Another one that's physical. This series, I thought the Knicks Pistons, had a potential to go 7 games. This series is definitely going 7 games. It's tied up 2-2 right now. Like I said, Clippers had the advantage, gave up a couple games. Love how Kawhi's playing. Love how Aaron's playing. Love how Zubac is playing. Jokic still playing at a high level, but he needs way more production as Giannis, and I'll touch on that with the Bucks, as Giannis needs with his teammates. But got to give the Nuggets credit. They showed poise. They made it a fight. This is definitely going to be a series. And I think this is going to be the first 7-game series of the first round. Well, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Going next, my third favorite series of this postseason would be Pacers versus Bucks. And it's not for the reasons that you think. Honestly, it's been wholesale fucking entertaining. Outside of the game a couple of nights ago. Last night was a blowout, but, a couple of nights ago, that game was pretty entertaining. But here's the problem with this series that I see very quickly. We all know Damian Lillard got hurt. Dame Dollar being out, torn Achilles, devastating. Alters the whole series for the Milwaukee Bucks. Clearly puts this in the lap of the Indiana Pacers to put them away. He has a torn Achilles, which they announced early this afternoon. It's already on top of him battling with injuries, with the fact that they're getting out physical, meaning Indiana's out physically Milwaukee. The Bucks really haven't had an answer for it. It's really been Giannis or bust, or in Giannis and pretty much a bunch of nobodies. This series is over. Without Dame, there's no way in hell Milwaukee's going to be able to muster up enough offense. You got Kyle Kuzma disappearing here and there, and if you got to bank on him and other guys who aren't really reliable, it just becomes a Brad Bastard situation. And also, I'm joking when I say this, but Doc Rivers is a jinx. Another team he's going to where they're going to deal with this first round mediocrity. He'll get a pass because they'll say it's injuries, but it just seems weird to me that this team was advanced to the second round and further, and then also here he comes and they can't get out the first round. So weird as fuck, man. Like I said, Dame getting hurt really altered this series. I thought, with him coming back, you would have seen some fight, fervor, and it was there. Bobby Portis even alluded to it as much during the sideline interview that he had mid-game, but it's just, the turnovers, injuries to Dame Lillard, no one being able to step up, the Bucks not even being able to sustain runs long enough to win the game. Yeah, it's just, Time to pack it in. Time to pack it in if you're Milwaukee. It's been a hell of a run, but this season just did not work out the way we all thought it may work out. But we'll see. Number 4, my 4th favorite series so far would be Warriors versus Rockets. Now, the reason why I say Warriors versus Rockets, and you have to bear with me when I say this, Warriors versus Rockets is the classic, NBA series, old versus new, where you have the old guys, the old guard, the vets, trying to stake their claim and make it be known that they haven't gone anywhere and they're still a contender and still, in it. We all know Jimmy Butler dealt with a pelvic contusion, which put him out. Big scare calls for the Warriors. What were they going to do? They wound up pulling that game out, and then wound up even winning yesterday, which was amazing. Getting into that game, the Warriors won 104-93. They're up now 2-1 in the series. Stephen Curry has just been on a tear. He's obviously, we know for the past couple of years now, he's been carrying his team on his back. If you already didn't think he was when they were dominant, winning championships dynastically, he's definitely doing it right now. 36 points, 9 assists, 5 of 13 from 3. Though I will admit, though, it took a while for this Warriors offense to get going in this past game. It took a while for this Warriors offense to get going without Jimmy, period. So that's no shock there. But they were able to keep their poise because, championship veteran pedigree. Houston. And I'm talking about this as far as a series. I love the way they pass the ball. They play as a team. They play aggressively. However, I think that their athleticism, which is good, because of that, having inconsistent shooting, it affects it. It's affecting his team, and I think it's putting his team in a situation where they're going to get eliminated within 5 or 6 games. And, people are still going to call it a good year, but they're losing this because of sometimes not knowing when to take the right shot and sometimes being too aggressive. And then you got to give a shout out to, the Warriors for getting Dylan Brooks to foul out because he's their tough guy. He's their enforcer. You get him out, you can just pretty much muscle guys around at that point. So that, is another psychological thing to think about. Replacing Jimmy Butler's production. How are the Warriors going to do that? Well, you get Buddy Hield and Gary Payton Jr. to step up, and then what do you know? You got the production. Buddy Hield, 17 points, 5 of 11 from three-point range. Then you have Gary Payton Jr., 16 points, 2 of 3 from three-point range. You combine that together, that's, carry the one. Yeah, that's Jimmy's production. That's Jimmy production for one game. So, needless to say, great output from both of those guys. Fred VanVleet, who has been struggling this whole series, finally showed up, 17 points, 3 of 9 from three-point range, but clearly not enough to win this game and to put them in a better position. And I love the fact that Houston is not even scared of Golden State. They bring the fight to the Warriors. However, they're not poised enough, they're not calculated enough, and they're not smart enough at times to overcome the situations that they have to deal with. Because make no mistake about it, they're a good team, but they're playing a great team. And I don't mean great in the aspect of former veteran, former Warriors teams. I mean a great team in the aspect of you're playing mostly, the leaders are veterans who have been at the biggest stage or competed at the biggest stage. It puts you at a disadvantage, especially when you've never been there. So, got to give the Warriors a shitload of credit. But I want to give the Warriors, most importantly, not just the credit, but I want to make sure I state the fact that the coaching disparity is showing in this series too. Ime Udoka, been to a finals, been to several Eastern Conference finals, well known for his tenure and what he did with the Celtics. Him with Steve Kerr, clearly seems to be an issue where he cannot figure out what Steve Kerr can do to him. And it's kind of weird, but, some guys got your number. Some guys got your number and they just know how to figure it out. And it just seems to be this case with this situation. Here we go here. Let's see. Heat and Cavaliers. I'm not going to waste my time too much on this one. Right now, as we speak, the Cavaliers are winning 135-76. So that series is going to be very much a sweep and closed out as well. Mobley, Mitchell, and when I say Mitchell, I want to make sure that I'm talking about Donovan Mitchell because there's also Davion Mitchell with the Heat I wanted to highlight on. the Cavaliers showed why they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. They showed that the Heat definitely did not belong there. And for the Heat, you have to really be realistic with yourself. Tyler Hero showed that he could score, but he showed that he's not the man. Last game, 33 points, 4 of 11 from 3. Great output, but just not the guy. They have to think. I have to think that if you're looking at them, Kevin Durant's possibly on their radar free agency. I do. You make a trade for him. I do think that's a possibility. Davion Mitchell, the other Mitchell for the Miami Heat. I think this guy's formerly from Sacramento. I like Davion Mitchell a lot. He left Sacramento, went to the Raptors. Now he's currently with the Miami Heat. I love the way he plays, dog mentality, plays like a Miami Heat guy from that culture. It looks like he's really finding a place with them. It's great to see that. But yeah, this game 3, it's a blowout. I mean, most of these games, blowouts. So no shock there. Glad to see that's over. Speaking of another blowout, we're going to talk about Grizzlies and Thunder. Now, it's hilarious how the beginning of a series starts out as pure blowouts. And then all of a sudden, because of a couple of situations, it winds up becoming a series. But make no mistake, this was never really a series. The Grizzlies, immature-ass basketball team, not really focused on the task at hand, really was worried about being, to me, TikTok lords and kings instead of actually winning basketball games and credibility. And I'm not saying Desmond Bane or Triple J or those guys aren't, trying to win, but I have to question your star player if he's really wants to win. Because all outright, I mean, you lose the first game by 51 points. You cannot be talented enough. That makes sense. You lose the second game by 30, 25, somewhere 25, 30 points. You make it a fight in game 3, and then you blow a 29-point lead, the most historic comeback ever by a team at halftime in a playoff game history. Embarrassing, pride, dick in the dirt. And then you add insult to injury where the misery just could not continue. You get to game 4, and you lose another heartbreaker. This series was decided, after game 3. I know a lot of people didn't want to disagree with that, but it really was. In my opinion, game 1, when you lose by 51 points, that kind of sealed the fucking deal right there. Memphis showed fight. I do want to give them acknowledgement for that, and especially in these last 2 games, they showed fight. But when you lose in heartbreaking in historical fashion like that, you flop in that magnitude, it doesn't really sit right with you, and it shouldn't sit right with you if you really give a damn. I liked how if we're talking about future prospects of this team, I liked how Scottie Pippen Jr. played. Now he only had in this particular game, the game clinching game 4, he only had 18 points. He was 35% from 3-point range, 38% from, and what does it say here? Yeah, 35% from 3-point range, 38% from the field. Now, keep this in mind for the postseason. That's what he was averaging. This is a guy that didn't even average that type of output, in the regular season. So having to step in and play, he's showing you that he can. So shout out to Scottie Pippen Jr. and the future looks potentially bright for him in there in Memphis. His future for Ja, on the other hand, I don't know. This guy's got injuries, immature as fuck, inconsistent. Not really sure what you do with that. Most teams try to trade that, asset or that player and get something of valuable for him. I don't know if that's even possible, if that's even been a conversation that's been broached to Ja Morant, but I would be considering it, being that, you can't seem to not, make, whether it's the gun analogy jokes or the grenade or, getting caught with a strap or having it being questionable if he has heat on him, whatever it may be, you need to get yourself the fuck out of those situations. So, yeah, I really don't know the future for Ja Morant. I do think that if you're the Grizzlies, try to see if you can get him to play at a high level again. If he's really content with where he's at, then you're just going to have to put yourself in a situation where you may have to move off of him. As far as future head coach, that dude who's coaching him right now, that Italian guy, whoever that is, he ain't going to be the coach. He ain't going to be the coach. Because I think he clearly showed it's not that he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't really know how to galvanize the troops. So, yeah. But that series ended in a sweep. You know, SGA and the boys going to the second round. So, it's just, you know, one of them things, again, where you're looking at it and you're kind of like, damn, this team really stood no chance. Even though the score looked indicative like they were in there. And I admit, the last two games, they played hard, but not enough. Not enough. Whatsoever not enough. And then we got here, we're going to touch on Celtics and Magic. This series has been another snoozer. Celtics won the other day. They won game 3. Game 3. Actually, game 4. Excuse me, about game 4. They won that game 107-98. Magic have showed some momentum after their game 3 win. Showed a lot of heart, poise, promise. However, poise of champions always prevails and comes through. So, got to give the Celtics, credit there. Orlando, speaking of the Magic, they were taking the fight to Boston early. It's just that, you know, they had the crowd involved. And after a while, once Boston's hitting shots, and it was a great game. But it's like, you know, once after a while, Boston's hitting shots and they got it going on, they got you chasing a bit, it's never going to work. Let's see here, going a bit further. Both teams have shot horrifically from three-point range, especially in this last game. I think both of them are under 30%, so, you know, need not worry. Both of them sucked ass. But Paolo and Franz, Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, they're the ones that are literally carrying this Orlando Magic team. Banchero, 31 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Wagner had 24 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. Keep in mind, series average for Wagner, 26 points. However, shooting like dog shit from three-point range, only averaging 21%. As in retrospect, with Banchero, who's developing into truly a great player and potentially a great asset, especially from where he got drafted, he's averaging 32 points for the series. You know, he's having an outstanding series. 8 rebounds. He's averaging 43% from 3. So we know where it's coming from. But Banchero, he's playing on that level where you see it. You know where it's coming from. You see it. He's going to be one of those top echelon guys soon. But the guy that's already there, Jason Tatum, played again on another level. Production was immaculate, 37 points, 14 rebounds. Even got Porzingis, who was really much of a catalyst as Tatum was in his last game. 19 points for Porzingis, 5 rebounds, 2 of 4 from three-point range. Again, another one where this series is over. Orlando has fought a great fight, but it's just, you know, it's a situation when you start seeing it, it's clear as day. Banchero and Franz Wagner are carrying it, but Franz Wagner's shooting like shit from three-point range. And there's really no tussle, so, you know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But looking at how things may shape up, there's going to be more information I'm going to have coming out regarding some of these playoff games. I will have a review coming up after the games tonight as well. I love you guys. I thank you guys as always. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night. I will have another episode coming. That episode will be coming shortly within the next day or so. So definitely be on the lookout for it. Take care, guys, and enjoy the rest of your evening.